Welcome to our next lesson, which is on the cosine law. So the sine law doesn't always help you determine an unknown angle or an unknown side whenever you have a triangle that is not a right triangle. You're going to use the sine law every time you have side angle side, which is indicated by this picture over here, side angle side, or whenever you have side, 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 like all three sides, then you're going to use the cosine law. So here's your cosine law. For some triangle with vertices ABC, you're going to use a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc multiplied by cos angle A. Now it really depends on what you're looking for. So if you're looking for angle A or side A, you'll use this one. You're going to use this one if you're looking for side B or angle B, and this one for side C or angle C. And of course, it doesn't have to be A, B, C as the actual variables. It could be X, Y, Z. It could be R, S, T. It really depends on the question. As long as you're consistent with how you're substituting those variables in. So when using your cosine law to determine an angle, substitute your known values first, then solve for the unknown angle. Rearrange the formula to solve for the cosine of the unknown angle, then substitute and evaluate. This will make a lot more sense when we apply it to our very first example on the next page. So it says determine the length of QR to the nearest tenth of a centimeter. So our length QR is our side between vertices R and Q, which is located over here. I'm going to relabel everything so that's easier for us to plug this into our cos law. So here we have ABC. We can do exactly that. So I'm going to call this one A instead of P. You can call this one B and this one C. So directly across from vertex A, we're going to have side A. Okay, so directly across from angle A, we get side A. Then directly across from angle B, we get side B. Lastly, directly across from angle C, we get side C. Now with the information we have two sides and an angle, so side, angle, side. This is why we're going to use cos law. And if you are trying to use sine law, you're going to realize we don't actually have enough information to use sine law. So I'm looking for side A. That means I'm going to use this first one here, a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos A. And in this case, I'm looking for A. So I'm going to use this one because I'm looking for side A. I'm going to fill in the information that we know. So side B is 17, side C is 10, minus 2, side B is 17, side C is 10. The angle for A is 31 degrees. Now I'm going to simplify this, and I'm going to underline what I'm going to simplify. So I'm going to find out what 17 squared is, what 10 squared is, and then I'm going to multiply 2 times 17 times 10. So 17 squared is 289, 10 squared is 100, and if you're using your calculator, just use your square button, or if you don't have that in your calculator, you can do 10 times 10 for 10 squared, and for 17 squared, you can do 17 times 17. Now 2 times 17 times 10 is 340. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is add 289 and 100 together and multiply 340 and cos 31 together. So 289 plus 100 is 389. 340 multiplied by cos of 31 is 291.43688. Then I'm going to subtract. So 389 minus 291.43688 is 97.6. Then lastly, I'm going to square root both sides in order to isolate a, because the opposite of squaring is square rooting. So square root of 97.6 is going to be 9.9, and our units are in centimeters. And that is your final answer. So therefore, side QR is equal to 9.9 centimeters. Here's another example. In this case, we have to draw a triangle KMN. We know that the side K to M is 16 centimeters. We know K to N is 11 centimeters. And lastly, M to N is 6 centimeters. So we're given side here, only sides. We're going to use the cosine law to find the angle M. I'm going to relabel so we have names for our sides. Directly across from angle M is going to be side M. Directly across from angle K is going to be side K. Directly across from angle N is going to be side N. In this case, I'm looking for angle M. So when I'm writing out my cos law, I'm going to make sure I have M twice. M for the side and M for the angle. It's going to look something like this. M squared is equal to, and then my other two sides, so that's K squared, N squared minus 2KN cosine of angle M. So just notice I have an M and an N here because I'm looking for angle M. Alright, so I'm going to plug in the information we know. We know side M is 11. We know side K is 6. Side N is 16. And angle M is what we're looking for, so I'm going to leave it as a variable. Now I'm going to simplify. I'm going to square each of those numbers. So 11 squared is 121. 6 squared is 36. 16 squared is 256. Then I'm going to multiply 2 times 16 times 6, which is 192, and then I leave the cos M alone. So again, 11 squared is 121, 6 squared is 36, 16 squared is 256, and then I multiplied all these together to get 192. Now I'm going to try to isolate cos M by moving the 36 and the 256 to the other side first. And when I do that, because 36 and 256 are positive, to move to the other side of the equal sign, it becomes a minus 36 and a minus 256. So it's 121 minus 36 minus 256. And I leave this negative 192 cos M alone. I'm going to simplify our left-hand side here. So 121 minus 36 minus 256 is negative 171. And then now we want to isolate cos M by dividing both sides by negative 192. And this number is going to be 0.890625 after you put that into the calculator. Lastly, I'm going to take the cos inverse of both sides to get my angle M. We'll take cos inverse of 0.890625. And then angle M is going to be 27 degrees, and that is our final answer. So again, to reiterate those steps, you need to look for your cos law and write it down. In this case, I'm looking for information about M. So make sure M shows up with your cos, and for the side M on the other side, the equal sign. Afterwards, I plugged in the information and then simplified it. From here to here, you try to isolate cos M, and I did that by moving 36 and 256 to the other side, or in other words, subtract 36 on both sides and subtract 256 on both sides. And then I simplified the left-hand side, then divided both sides by negative 192 in order to isolate cos M, and then took the cos inverse of both sides. Now we're going to try a word problem. The wall is leaning at an angle of 70 degrees to the horizontal. So this could be the leaning wall. The horizontal can be the ground. And it creates a 70-degree angle with the ground. Again, so this is your wall. Next, we have a rigid support, and it's to be placed 5 meters from the base of the wall. So the base of the wall is just the bottom of the wall. And your support is going to be placed 5 meters from that base of the wall. So your distance of 5 meters, and this is where your rigid support is going to be. And that would also be the base of your rigid support. Now it says the rigid support will be attached to the wall 2.5 meters from its base. When it's saying its base, it's referring to the base of the wall here. So that means your rigid support is attached to the wall at some point here. And the length will be 2.5 from that connecting area to the base of the wall. In other words, the length of your wall is 2.5 meters. Now we want to determine the length of the support, so that would be this side here. And we also want to know the angle between the support wall and the wall, which is in there. So between the support and the wall. So that is your diagram. I'm going to label the sides and the vertices, so we could put this out in using one of our laws. So this side can be A, this can be B, and this can be C. Directly across from angle A is side A. Directly across from angle B is side B. Directly across from angle C is side C. So there's two things we want to find. We want to find the length of support, which is side A, and we also want to find angle B. I'm just going to find side A first. And with our information, you could have found angle B if you wanted to. It really doesn't matter which one you do first. I'm just going to find side A first. So, because I'm finding side A, I'm going to use the cos law because we have side, angle, side. And I'm going to use the cos law that has A twice. So that's A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos A. Then I'm going to fill in the information we know. We don't know what A is because that's what we're looking for. Side B is 5. Side C is 2.5. Side B is 5, side C is 2.5, and lastly, the angle A is 70 degrees. All right, so we're going to find what 5 squared is, which is 25. 2.5 times 2.5 is 6.25. 2 times 5 times 2.5 is 25. I'm leaving cos 70 degrees alone. Then I'm going to add 25 and 6.25 together, which is 31.25. And then I'm also going to multiply 25 and cos 70 together. And that will give us 8.5505. Now I'll do my subtraction. So 31.25 minus 8.5505 is 22.6995. My next step to isolate a is to take the square root of both sides to get a by itself because you have a squared right now. So this is going to be about 4.8 meters as our answer. So that's your length of support. The next thing we're going to do is find angle B. In this case, you can use sine law if you want to, or you could also use cosine law. It really doesn't matter. Whichever you think is easier for you. I'm just going to use sine law here. So we have angle B, or we're trying to find angle B. We have side B, and I also have both information for angle A and side A. So for sine law, we're going to use sine A over A is equal to sine B over B. Again, I have both angle A and side A, and I also have side B, so we can find angle B. Now I'm going to fill in my information. Angle A is 70 degrees. Side A, we just found that, is 4.8. We don't know what angle B is yet, and side B is 5. So from here, I'm going to cross multiply. So that's 5 sine 70 is equal to 4.8 sine B. I want to isolate sine B, so I'm going to divide by 4.8 on both sides to get sine B by itself. So sine B is then 5 sine 70 over 4.8. I can put our left-hand side into the calculator. So 5 times sine 70 divided by 4.8 is 0.9788. And then lastly, to get B by itself, I'm going to take sine inverse of both sides to get angle B. So here, I'm going to take sine inverse of both sides. We're going to plug that into the calculator. So sine inverse of 0.9788 will give us 78 degrees, and that is our answer here. So if you want to summarize what we just found, we can write that in the sentence below. We can say the length of support is 4.8 meters. And we can also say the angle between the support and wall is 78 degrees.